on, everybody? This is Ken.
This is Jasmine.
And we are walking with the Williams. And so are you today. Walking with the Williams. Yeah, you like that?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, see? So today, we're just going to sit down and talk to you all about us becoming landlords. So we're going to go ahead, link that video either up here, down here. I don't know how this works, but we're going to link that video somewhere of how we acquired the property. And the way that we acquired this property was a strategy called the BRRRR method. And so when you go to that video, you'll be able to see how we were able to buy that property with zero out of pocket. And so just to kind of give you all, this is just video, just to give y'all like a 6-month update on how things have been going. So first off, babe, how do you feel being a landlord?
I didn't really enjoy it for the first few months when we got a tenant because we had some problems happening, which we'll talk about. So I was ready to sell that thing in I was ready to sell it in October because I was like, this is a lot. Like, this is too much to have to deal with. Yeah. So I was ready to sell it, but you know, I'm sticking out for the long run. It's calmed down now, so now it's good.
Yeah.
I think we're getting back in the green. How do you feel about being a landlord?
I mean, look, I mean, it was frustrating at the beginning, but I never.
Height and strain. Next video. Keep going. I have that.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I didn't expect these things to happen, but I mean, it just felt too good to be true. And then I'll say, like, during that time, it was very, very frustrating. I was over there for 2 weeks, every day.
And one weekend you were over there
at least 24 hours. Very, very frustrating at the beginning, but the thing is that it worked itself out. And so we've learned a lot. I mean, we've definitely learned a lot from this experience. And I mean, I'm glad that we are landlords. I'm glad that we have an investment property. And so one of the issues that happened was that because the houses here in Memphis are they're so old, you know, they used galvanized steel back in the day.
No, let's go back to the beginning. So we bought the house. The beginning process was smooth. We bought the house. We got in it, did the scope of work, got the contractors, started working on it. Got the girl to, we had what is she, like a property management?
She was like a rental agent.
A rental agent. She got us people in, in a week? Maybe less than a week. We had tenants. They had put down their, they paid first month rent and a deposit day before, day of. What did we realize?
Oh, the stove.
The stove. Go back even before that, the washer and the dryer.
Yeah, so
literally the day before we were getting a tenant.
So the day before they go in,
when arrived.
The day before they go in, we had a washer and dryer put in. But on the scope of work, we never put, I guess, to install an outlet. And so, you know, contractors most of the time won't do just extra stuff. You got to tell them what to do. So I didn't notice that the laundry room didn't have an outlet. But I was able to get an outlet in that day. But I had already called for them to take the washer and the dryer out. Which didn't cost us any money. It actually put money back in our pocket. And then we had I bought an electric stove. And we ended up needing a gas stove. Because of, again, the outlet. We would have had to switch out the outlet. So we just went ahead.
And our tenants were literally moving in the next day.
Yeah. So that was a little hectic. Because we bought it from a scratch and dent place. And you know, their return policies are a little weird. It's like if you had it for more than a day or something like that, like 48 hours, and you can't return it. So I called them just at the right time so they can come pick it up, and I could swap it out for a gas stove. have them refund me the washer and dryer, everything like that. So it all worked out. Then after that, we had the locks weren't working. So we had to go over there. Remember, we had to do the locks. Yeah, remember, because we had too many keys. And so they couldn't copy the keys for some reason. So we had to like switch doorknobs and stuff out, which we had to do that like several times. So this was like the second time I had to do that. So, yep. So we had to do that. The bib out there, the hose bib kept leaking.
The hose bib.
So I put a cap on it, and the guy was like, "No, this thing's still dripping." So we had to figure out how to tighten it up to a point where it wouldn't drip. Which I got it. I got it tightened up enough.
So those were like small things, but they were just like happening so quickly. And then what? A month in, then what happens?
It's like a couple weeks in, because this is when Mr. Israel came down, and there was because of the plumbing was galvanized steel, because the house had not been used in quite some time. The rust inside the pipes, when we kicked the water back on, it just kicked all of that rust out of the plumbing, and so what it was doing was it was clogging up our plumbing. So like water could not come through the kitchen sink, and then in the bathroom it would come out very little. And so we switched out the sink, thinking that something was wrong with the sink. So we went ahead and switched out the sink. Then it did it to a brand new sink. So then we were like, man, something's going on, and we kept trying to. We thought that if we just went on ahead and just kept running it, that it would work. And then at one point it did work, and then I had to come back over there because then it got clogged up again. So we had a plumbing company come out, Smith's Plumbing. They came out, which they weren't bad at all. They were pretty good. They came out, they replaced. They was like, well, it's the galvanized steel, and I was just like, okay. So he was like, well, Monday is a holiday, so we're going to have to charge you some extra, like 25% extra. And so I just went ahead and I told them, I don't care what it costs, just make it to where these people can have water. They got the galvanized steel out of there. They put a different kind of piping in there, and it was fine. Then we get
that process took like a week or more though. But
yeah. So that process took like a week. My tenants text me and say, hey, we smell gas in the middle of the night. We called MLGW. When we called MLGW, they said, oh yeah, we do smell gas. So then they cut the gas off, but not only did they cut the gas off, they put a lock on the gas because it was an emergency call. So they put a lock on the gas. So then we had to get a airlock test done. And so code enforcement came out for the gas airlock test or whatever, and they just need to test it. So we called Smith's Plumbing. They came by. They did the gas lock. It held the gas. They were like, okay, cool. So we just need to get code enforcement out here. So we get code enforcement out there to go give us the green light to go. But I think because my tenants, I don't know if it's because it was a new code enforcer or what, but they came in and instead of just checking the airlock test, they ran a check on the whole system. So then we ended up getting flagged for a lot of stuff by code enforcement on a lot of different stuff. We found out that the permit for the HVAC system was not pulled. It was not the code for the central air was not pulled, so we had to pay permit fees on those too. There were penalty fees, and then we had to pay for somebody to come in and do all of the adjusting so that things were up to code, which cost us.
So if you know me at all, at this point I'm like, sell the whole house.
Yeah, it cost us a couple.
I mean, every day it was like something else gonna cost, something else gonna cost. And like luckily because we had already had the deposit and some months of rent, like for a little bit they were paying for it, but then when it started to like seep into our money, I was like, no. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, I'd have went, no.
Yeah, and I wasn't really
I didn't see the benefit of the property at that time.
I'm a long-term type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care nothing about what's going on now, as long as I know it's going to get better in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like marriage, right? So, I thought you was going to be like, and what do you mean by that? So, that was just a joke. But that is true. Like, sometimes you're going through something in marriage and then, it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, like, that's just life, right? But I wasn't going to let that deter me from making residual income. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't going to do that. Even if it would have cost me $10,000, right? Even if it would have cost $10,000, yes, that $10,000 would have hurt. But at the same time, though, I know that I'm going to make that $10,000 back eventually off this property, and then we're going to be in the green. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we went ahead, we got all this stuff done, and man, I tell you what,
that was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it just took a while, and it was. We discounted the rent and everything like that because we just had to. I mean, it
was like an inconvenience for them for sure. And we know we don't want to be slumlords, so we're like,
not at all.
Yes, this happened. No, there's nothing we can do, but how can we help them out a little bit?
Yeah, so we definitely did help them out a little bit and discount the rent like a lot for that month. And so, but everything is good now. Mm-hmm. Everything is good now.
And we're really thankful for the tenants that we have. Like, they're just, like, 3 young guys. We're grateful that we didn't have, like, a family for the first time. Because we really would have felt bad. And, like, honestly would have had to find somewhere else for them to live. And so we're grateful for, like, first-time tenants, for first-time landlords. It's worked out really well.
Yeah.
They're really kind to us.
Definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think what have you learned from just this 6 months of being a landlord?
I really haven't learned anything, honestly, y'all, because I haven't done much of it. He's done everything. He just comes and tells me what's happening, and I'll be like, okay. But I'm not really, like, hands-on, so I don't know if there's anything that I've really learned. What have you learned?
I've learned to pay to get certain inspections done. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the next time around, I'll make sure that I have a plumber to come by and at least tell me, like, hey, look, you might want to get this done. You might want to get this done.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely things that we know during the rehab need to get checked.
Yeah, things just need to get checked if you're not going to replace them, right? So, like, major systems in the house, we need to make sure that we have somebody there that can actually be like, yeah, you might want to get that replaced, or you might want to replace this, you might want to replace that. I mean, I think the major systems, need to be inspected, and the foundation obviously needs to be checked, but, you're not going to buy a house if it has foundation issues. Well, at least I'm not. So, I'm not really worried about that. It's really that plumbing that really cost us a lot. But yeah, just kind of double checking stuff, and it's fine. We lost a little bit, but we learned a lot, right? And so I'm ready for this next house. I tell you that, like, I'm ready for the next house, and so
yeah, it didn't stop me from wanting to invest and have properties, but for a minute there it did. So what advice would you give to first-time landlords, like people who are our age that are like, man, yeah, I want to get some investment properties, I want to be a landlord? What advice would you give to them?
The number one thing is
save your money.
Yeah, save your money, because you just never know.
Don't go in thinking it's going to make you a whole bunch of money at first, because it could be that you have to come out of your savings. So make sure that you have a savings.
Yeah. So you just got to make sure, that you got money, or, a line of credit, something where you, if an emergency happens, you can go ahead and get that problem taken care of. I would say, I think the best thing that we could have done is, like, again, make sure we get that home inspection, or get the major systems inspected, right? But yeah, and I think it's very important to know your numbers. Like, you got to know your numbers. Like, how much am I going to be bringing in per month? because if we were bringing in anything less than what we were bringing in, it would have cut.
I definitely would have been like, sell it.
Yeah, it would have been cutting deep.
Yeah.
It would have been cutting deep into our pockets, and I would have been like, nah.
Yeah.
And so
you definitely have to know that it's going to actually benefit you, and that you're profiting enough that if stuff comes up, you can spend that money on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So
I'd say do it, but make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
like,
find
God
you somebody.
That he had a mentor to walk him through the whole process, and like, also I would say make sure that you have people to do the work. Right? Make sure you have contractors.
Yes, make sure you
have people that can come. If something happens to your HVAC, you have somebody you can call. Plumbing, you have somebody that you can call. Hole in the wall, you have somebody that you can call. Like, one thing that has happened is now, like, we have connections to people that can come and fix those things if they ever need it fixed again. So definitely have you back in the day, you say a Rolodex.
A Rolodex.
Like people always say Rolodex, but definitely have you a Rolodex of contacts for those different things. But I mean, and having an investment property is going to be like difficult. I can imagine it's going to be a little bit more difficult when we have multiple. But I'm trying to look in the long run and know that it's going to pay off. And it feels good to be able to say, like, Cairo will have a property, like, when he's older.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing is like, this is going to be something like with anything, right? When you first get into it, it's a little shaky because you're trying to figure things out. But once you get in your groove, I don't think that it's that difficult, right? Like, I don't, like, because once it becomes something that you're doing all the time, you then develop systems, right? It's kind of like teaching. It's the first year at a school is normally going to be your rough year, right? Because you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the culture of the school? What is how do they do, planning and all of that different stuff. But then the next year it's like, I'm good, I'm gravy. I got everything down that I'm going to teach and all that different stuff. You may need to change a little bit or whatever, but like Mr. Israel said, Mr. Israel's like, I've been teaching for so long, I just got stuff that I just pull out. Like, I don't got to plan that much, right? And so I think that's the same way with real estate. When we was talking to Stacy, she was saying developing systems. She's like, this year I'm developing systems. And a lot of times, like when you're in anything like real estate, you have to have strong systems to where you know that, all right, I secured the house. You know exactly what your steps are going to be. All right, I'm doing a walkthrough. I'm coming up with the scope of work. These are the people that I'm calling to do the rehab work. These are the people I'm calling to do the roof and it's just going to be. But at the beginning, it's kind of like, all right, I got to find somebody. All right, I got to find somebody. All right, I got to find somebody. And once you find these reliable people, you're then at a point where, you're a year or two in and you can just, hey man, I got, and it just becomes easier that way. So, I wasn't expecting it to be, I was actually surprised that it was so easy at the beginning. You know what I mean? I was very happy to have the mentor that I had, to be able to help me out with that. And so, I would definitely recommend that you go find you somebody who is trying to do what you are trying to do. If you're trying to get rental properties, find you somebody who is already a landlord or is investing and have them teach you what they do. Because you're going to need the help. You are going to need the help.
Yeah, don't try to go be a landlord by yourself. I mean, if there's people out there that have done it successfully, that's great. But I think it makes it a lot easier when you have people that can assist you.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I think that's in anything in life is that you always got to find your mentor.
If you find a mentor, if you find people to assist you, you should definitely get a rental property. It has a lot of long-term benefits. And overall, being landlords is great. We have great tenants. We're considering possibly making the property once these tenants leave into Airbnb to see like what is more profitable. So we'll see. We'll give y'all an update on that if we do decide to do that. But if you have any questions or comments about getting an investment property, about maybe you have more questions that we didn't answer here about being first-time landlords, let us know in the comments. Also, if you do like the content that we're giving you, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you subscribe, like the video, comment. We do respond to comments, and so yeah, thank you for hanging out with us and learning from, hopefully learning from us, or just listening to us ramble, whichever reason that you're here.
Okay. So beautiful. Um,
Peace out. You didn't look like you had anything to say.
No, yeah. Same thing she just said. Like, share, subscribe, share with somebody. When I say like, share, subscribe, send this to somebody who you believe will benefit from this. And until next time, love, peace, chicken grease, and all that good stuff. Peace.